Very exciting game of football in the Premier League. Lots and lots and lots of goals, of course. But let's talk about the main one that took place yesterday, which is Arsenal-Chelsea.
Yeah, it was a big game for both sides. But for the top four between Arsenal and Chelsea. And Arsenal needed that victory because they just lost their game to West Ham United.
Yes.
Unai Emery was under pressure. Arsenal fans were already asking questions. Did they make a mistake letting Arsene Wenger go? But you know Arsenal fans, they are never patient. And Emery needed to make a statement. It was a game at the Emirates Stadium. For Chelsea, it's pretty sad. Maurizio Sarri was, however, not happy. He felt that he didn't know what else to do to motivate the side. They were less motivated. And for me, I think Chelsea doesn't have that bite, the final bite in the attack. And I think by the time Gonzalo Higuain comes in, they will be able to solve that problem.
So you're confident of that particular signing coming through?
Definitely looks very good. He was supposed to make those game ball because he was not, the deal was not done and dusted yet. So definitely for the next game, I think Chelsea, by the time they start scoring goals, I think Maurizio Sarri will be a happy man. And I was even surprised. During the press conference, he had to speak Italian because he was so frustrated. He could not speak English.
He couldn't express himself correctly. I did see that as well. Let's bring Ben in from our studios in London and just find out what his thoughts are. Ben, thank you so much for joining me today. Ben, now, let's look at it from both sides. Arsenal, you know, in the past, they've relied heavily on Ozil in big games, but somehow yesterday, they didn't even talk about him. And Chelsea, on the other hand, their defence were in 6s and 7s. Rudiger, Luiz, they were all over the place. What did you make of yesterday's game?
From Arsenal's point of view, I think we have to come to the realization that Mesut Ozil hasn't been relevant for at least 4 or 5 years. Ozil can't get into this team, and they weren't missing him. So I just felt like for Ozil, you can sit down on the bench earning all that money, you're not going to play. So either you're going to warm the bench earning all that money, or you're going to try and find yourself another club because Emery doesn't have any plans for you whatsoever. The defense definitely needs to be fixed for Arsenal, but I think what Emery figured out is you've got 2 great strikers. Play them both. If you play Aubameyang and Lacazette together, you will cause every team in the Premier League issues. So I have no idea how you're winning 2-0. Why is Lacazette on the bench? That makes no sense.
Why he took him off, yes.
With regards to Chelsea, Sarri must take all the blame whatsoever. Because, Sarri, you're playing a false nine. Why are you playing Hazard in a false nine role when that doesn't work? And Sarri has the cheek and the audacity to say he can't motivate these players. No, you're the person that needs to change, and you're the person that needs to adapt because you brought in Jorginho, who has to be one of the most pointless, useless signings in the last 5 years, who really hasn't brought anything into this team. So I just feel like for Sarri, he has to really blame himself and really look to himself to change the system because it took Chelsea 83 minutes to have a shot on target. That is absolutely disgraceful.
All right, then. They did miss a couple of chances in the first half. Yeah. I remember the Pedro shot that went wide. You know, but they were defensively, they were up in the air, it seemed. But, you know, he mentioned Jorginho, and a lot of people have been noticing that Sarri somehow seems to favour Jorginho over Kante, and he's playing Kante out of position. Why is he correct? Sarri is to blame because he's not. I mean, why would you play Kante out of position?
Yeah, we've seen situations where coaches want to use players they are comfortable with. And you won't want to blame Maurizio Sarri. He's just coming to the Premier League for the first time. The first time, I think, he has ever left the Italian scene. And coming to a new ground, he wants to go with players he can trust. So
but then he's letting him down because Jorginho cannot run. He's not doing what he needs to do. I mean, he's not doing the right things. So why does he keep relying on Jorginho?
Exactly. For Jorginho, I think this team has run
If they're not playing well, why play them? If they're not playing well, why play them? That is not an excuse by coming to a new country. If they're playing badly, don't play them.
Yeah, even though they are playing badly, you cannot have it all the time. Everything cannot happen for you all the time. So the experiment, it seems like it's not working because they are not scoring goals. I think for Jorginho, he's still doing his own best, putting in the passes. It's now left for the strikers to do the finishing job. I think the strikers are scoring the goals. I think nobody will be looking at Maurizio Sarri's part of the fact that he's playing Kante out of position, he's leaving Jorginho, he's relying so much on Jorginho.
So right now, your issue with Chelsea...
The issue with Chelsea right now is
they are not scoring goals.
They are not scoring goals.
But like Ben mentioned is that he's playing Hazard in a false nine role. Why not just play Giroud? Why not just keep Giroud in there?
As far as I'm concerned,
but Giroud is a striker. Why not you just play Giroud?
As far as everybody is concerned, Giroud is already off. As far as his firing power is concerned, let's take a look at the striker that went to the World Cup and could not even muster a goal. It's that kind of a striker you want to rely on. in the Premier League, where you have lots of games, and so far so good. Because he had to let go. They had to let him go at Arsenal. I was surprised when Chelsea signed him, because as far as I'm concerned, they don't need an Oliver Giroud. They need a point man who can guarantee 25 to 30 goals every season.
So is Higuain the man?
Higuain may be the man, but not 100%.
I've got to come in there to dispute that.
Go ahead, Ben.
No, I mean, because I feel that you're mistaken there. Yeah. Because Giroud, fair enough, he doesn't score goals. Ask any French player from the World Cup. Without Giroud, France don't win that World Cup.
His hold-up
play. He may not score goals, but he creates space and he facilitates and allows others to
actually. What are you creating the spaces for? Is it for a Morata who is not scoring
the goals? Bringing in those goals, but what he does tactically is very important. I assure you, without Giroud, France do not win that World Cup. And
fine. You're saying,
said himself, he actually likes playing with Giroud because Giroud helps him to actually get into spaces.
Yeah, France won the World Cup. Why? Because Giroud was creating the spaces when he was given the chance. But where is the striker? For Griezmann. For Chelsea does not have Griezmann. They don't have Kylian Mbappe. So you have to understand that for a fact. So when you don't have those kind of players who can finish for you, you look for an alternative. For Oliver Giroud, I think whatever the spaces is created and Morata is not converting, at the end of the day, those spaces are useless.
Perhaps he can create the space for Hazard, because Hazard has said that he enjoys playing with Giroud. He prefers playing with Giroud. It makes his game better. So why not just do that if you want to actually play Hazard in that role?
That's an experiment that was working. But if you take a look at it, all the Premier League teams have discovered that that is what they've been doing. And they've been able to close those spaces. And the spaces are no longer bringing in the goals. They need a point man who can stay in the center and make sure he converts as many chances or as many few chances that comes their way. And for Morata, it's not that kind of a striker. For Hazard, he likes to make a lot of runs from the flanks and everywhere. And once Hazard doesn't pick up, once that form is not there, Hazard definitely will not get the goals. And Hazard is not a striker, so you won't blame him. So at the end of the day, get a striker who can score goals, not a striker who can create spaces.
Okay, let's hear from both managers, Unai Emery and Maurizio Sarri.
It's very difficult to keep this pressing against them 90 minutes, and the match tactically changed. And I think also we work very well defensively deep when we need that in the match. And I think the clean sheet today is very important, and for us it's very important to show our supporter we are here. We can continue being optimists for our way. We are going to wait tomorrow, but it's his knee, and the prediction, the first prediction, maybe can be some important injuries. But tomorrow, confirm the doctor, or tomorrow Monday. I hope no, but he's really not positive. Our first impression. We have Ashley. He's playing with good pieces. Today also he played well, I think, and he can help us playing like a right back or like a right winger. And also Listeiner is another player for play, and I think we have players. And I don't forget Jenkinson, because he's with us. He played some matches, and if we need, he's okay to help us. The club is working with every situation can help us, and I cannot speak about individual players, but I know the club is working with different possibility if can help us this 4 months for our competition. I believe their work, and I know it's difficult windows for the transfer market, and if is coming one player for help us, I am happy, but the club is doing that, and I am going to wait.
All right, that was Arsenal manager Unai Emery. Now, he was talking about the injury that took place at the game for Hector Bellerin. Now, there's been a lot of criticism for Lichtsteiner, who's supposed to be the experienced international, that was supposed to sort of come in to help Bellerin, but he seems not to be the main man. Is this something that could hinder Arsenal in the long run, now that, you know, they've got things going, this injury to Bellerin, because they don't have adequate cover in that position?
Yeah, if you take a look at Bellerin this season, he has had more passes and he has created more chances amongst all the Arsenal players. And if you take a look at that, for a fact, for a team that went unbeaten for a long run, they are going to miss the services of Bellerin. And it's quite unfortunate that Lichtsteiner, the man who came from Juventus, as far as I'm concerned, he's already packed up goods. He's retired. He's supposed to be retired, maybe going to China or somewhere where, but not as competitive as the Premier League. But so far, so good. I think they will just have to make do with what they have. But how long is it going to last? The general transfer window is still open. They can look at other players, or maybe look at players from the academy who can fill in that position. For Bellerin out, I think it's going to be a big setback for talking about Emery.
Ben, just quickly, do you agree with that one, that Bellerin out is a big miss for the Gunners?
I would say it's a miss, but I don't think it's that large a miss. I mean, Bellerin isn't the greatest right back of all time. When he plays well, he can play really well, as he did against Chelsea. Has Bellerin ever really had an amazing season for Arsenal? No, he hasn't. So I just think that if there is a better right back out there in the market who can give you more consistency over a whole season, then you go out for him. Because, look, I believe that Bellerin is known much more for his very questionable fashion sense than he is for actually playing for football on the pitch. So for me, I just think for Emery, he has to really keep his options open. And I think when the summer comes, if there is a better right back out there, get a better right back and have Bellerin as a second choice. Because Bellerin is good. He's not that great a miss for Arsenal.
All right. We'll see what Arsenal do with the remaining days left in the transfer window.